Welcome to the Security Nexus Deep Dive. I invite you to visit thesecuritynexus.net after this briefing. We are a Maryland-based national security consultancy specializing in strategic advisory, education, and public engagement. Through our podcasts, blogs, training, and consulting, we provide insight into the evolving landscape of cyber threats, hybrid warfare, and strategic security policy. Our mission is to inform, educate, and empower both professionals and the public through clear, accessible, and actionable knowledge. Today's explainer is titled The Chekist Craft: How Soviet Intelligence Learned to Deceive the World. We are going to examine Volume 2 of the SVR's Official History of Russian Foreign Intelligence, which covers the crucial period from 1917 to 1933. As we'll see, the Soviet Union systematically transformed deception from a mere tactical trick into a massive strategic instrument of state power. Many of the techniques we associate with modern Russian active measures were actually forged right here during this formative period. We've organized today's briefing into 5 key areas: the post-revolution crisis, building the INO, the Disinform Bureau, a masterpiece of deception, and finally, the enduring blueprint. Let's dive into Section 1, the post-revolution intelligence crisis, focusing on exactly why the INO had to be created. Our analysis draws directly from this authoritative internal history. In the chaotic aftermath of the 1917 Russian Revolution, the young Soviet state was facing absolute devastation. We're talking civil war, economic ruin, and aggressive foreign intervention. Soviet leaders quickly realized that building a permanent foreign intelligence service wasn't just some administrative luxury. It was absolutely essential to the regime's survival. They needed an edge, which required transitioning from a purely revolutionary security organization to a professional, outward-looking intelligence apparatus. This timeline really illustrates that frantic transition. They started with the Cheka in 1917, which was heavily focused on reactionary domestic security, but then came the devastating intelligence failures during the 1920 Polish War. This massive failure proved to the leadership that they were essentially flying blind on the international stage. So in December 1920, the INO, or Foreign Department, was created. By January 1923, the Disinform Bureau was established. The logic was clear. Just collecting basic intelligence wasn't enough. They had to proactively shape the geopolitical battlefield. Moving to Section 2, building a new intelligence service, or the INO. Here we have the primary document that started it all. Order No. 169, issued in December 1920 by Felix Dzerzhinsky. This decree established the Foreign Department, pulling everything under one roof. It centralized all foreign operations, ensuring that intelligence gathering was subjected to strict political control, rather than being run by rogue, uncoordinated factions. Building this new service fell to Yakov Davtyan, the first head of the INO. The leadership recognized that they needed more than just blind loyalty. They required sophisticated education, counterintelligence expertise, and serious administrative finesse to pull off complex clandestine operations across the globe. To solve their expertise gap, the Soviet government made a highly pragmatic, even paradoxical decision. They combined their ideological core, the hardened revolutionary underground operatives, with their former mortal enemies, experienced Tsarist intelligence professionals. It turns out, when regime survival is on the line, institutional continuity and proven tradecraft are far more important than ideological purity. That brings us to Section 3, the Disinform Bureau and the birth of active measures. The conceptual breakthrough here is vital. Deception officially became state policy. The source text defines desinformatia as purposeful actions to mislead a factual or potential adversary regarding true intentions and to provoke a desired reaction. Soviet intelligence wasn't merely seeking to collect information, they were aggressively seeking to manipulate what foreign governments fundamentally believed to be true. To institutionalize this, the January 1923 Politburo decree explicitly outlined tasks for the Disinform Bureau. Their job was highly systematic. They had to account for incoming intelligence, figure out exactly what the adversary already knew, and then carefully fabricate false documents and misleading representations of internal Soviet conditions. This required intense coordination among intelligence, military, diplomatic, and Communist Party organizations. Fabricated intelligence became a primary instrument of their foreign policy. Section 4, Masterpiece of Deception, the Trust. Let's look at exactly how they put this into practice. Operation Trust remains one of history's most successful strategic deception operations. Supervised by Felix Dzerzhinsky and masterminded by Arthur Artuzov, Soviet intelligence engineered an entire fake resistance movement. They created the fictitious monarchist organization of Central Russia, led by operatives like Alexander Yakushev. This acted as a massive honey trap. It was a profound breakthrough in intelligence tradecraft, designed to lure and compromise anti-Soviet forces, who thought they were funding a legitimate uprising. The scale was just breathtaking. They successfully manipulated white Russian émigrés and fed tailored disinformation to multiple Western intelligence services, including the Polish General Staff, French intelligence, and the British SIS. These agencies unknowingly became conduits for Soviet deception. By controlling the fake resistance, the Soviets identified their enemies, neutralized threats, and lured prominent adversaries back across the border, most notably resulting in the recruitment and execution of the famous British spy, Sidney Riley. The financial success alone highlights the audacity of the operation. The British Secret Intelligence Service was so thoroughly deceived that they unknowingly funneled over 1.2 million gold rubles into this Soviet-controlled illusion. They manipulated their adversaries into financing the very counterintelligence operations being used against them. Finally, Section 5, the enduring blueprint. We need to examine why operations like Trust eventually faltered and why this history matters so much today. While the official history praises this disinformation work for protecting the young Soviet state, we also have to look at the limits of these deception operations. Operation Trust eventually failed due to internal vulnerabilities and the defection of Edward Opperput, which exposed the entire game. It highlighted the profound dangers of organizational overconfidence and issues with personnel reliability. Furthermore, we see a dark purge paradox here. Authoritarian political systems often destroy their own institutional expertise. Many of the brilliant architects of early Soviet foreign intelligence, including Artuzov and Yakushev, were later imprisoned or executed during Stalin's purges. So how does this century-old history matter today? Let me leave you with these key takeaways. First, Soviet foreign intelligence was designed from its inception to actively shape adversary perceptions, not merely collect secrets. Second, the Desinform Bureau officially institutionalized deception as state policy. Third, Operation Trust became the permanent blueprint for strategic deception operations. Modern Russian active measures, political warfare, hybrid conflict, and influence campaigns are best understood as a direct evolution of these principles. While the technology has completely changed, the underlying operational logic developed in the 1920s remains remarkably consistent today. Thank you for joining me.